Good morning, folks. And here's a wonderful little story of what happens when you have such a bad piece of primary source or a movie or a book or a video game that you need a secondary or tertiary source to fill in the blanks because the original writer or producer or director or whoever was in charge of the production didn't know how to tell a story. Or they want to make some quick cash by doing a novelization of the video game or a novelization of the movie or a web comic or some other comic or derivative thereof of the primary source because it was done so poorly. Now, I just finished watching Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker. You could watch my Mystery Science Theater 3000 experience on my channel. I just posted that this morning. If you want to get our wonderful opinions on the movie as we were watching it, as we were trying to watch it, there were a few pauses in there I had to edit out just because it was so painful and confusing. So naturally, a primary source or movie of this quality is going to have a lot of holes. And if you paid attention to various, I don't know exactly which Twitter handle it was, some Star Wars official handle has been filling in the blanks because, again, there's so many problems with, I think it was Elijah Wood, who was like, how could we possibly have known this is the answer or the problem or the solution that was introduced in the movie, just from a tweet. So they're using Twitter to fill in some blanks. They're also using the authors like Rae Carson for the novelization of the movie. And what it finds out, or what we discover amongst other things, is that the kiss that happens near the end of the movie between these two folks is non-romantic. And with the tone deafness of the movie itself, it's hard to derive any sort of drama. You don't really care for these characters. So people who think it's romantic are now being told it's not. So they might be a bit pissed off because really there's not much to the movie to like. It's a pile. It's a big garbled mess of plot point, and sometimes the plot points are just so fast I don't know what the plot is anymore. Things just connect for no reason. Things just happen for no reason. There's no explanation. So anyway, what ends up happening is these people have the magical power to bring each other back from the dead. And in that process, they kiss and then one of them dies. So this is what happens in the novelization, if you want to read it. His heart was full as Rae reached for his face, let her fingers linger against his cheek, and then, wonder of wonders, she leaned forward and kissed him. A kiss of gratitude, acknowledgement of their connection, celebration that they'd found each other at last. So here we have Rae not being romantic and being a wonder, of which exactly is what Rae is. She is a wonder amongst wonders. And she leaned forward and kissed him because, again, Rae has no personality. She can do anything. If the writer wants her to just kiss a guy, she'll do it because she can. And that's just what Rae does. But then she drew back, concern on her face. She could feel him growing cold. Ben smiled at her. He had given Rae back to the galaxy. It wouldn't atone for his darkness he'd wrought, but it was what he could do. So no one really gives a crap about this novelization unless you are, for one, a fan of Episode 9, and 2, you like reading, 3, you want more, or more of the same, just in novel form. So it's a very niche audience, the Star Wars book for Episode 9. I'm sure there's other Star Wars books which are great. This is probably not one of them. So this is done by Rae Carson, and I am not sure about her skill in any of this stuff. I don't know what kind of a writer she is. I wasn't a fan of this passage just because I don't like that sort of language, but that's just me. Everyone has their own preferences. I'm not sure. I'm not saying she's untalented. I'm sure she's very good. It's just not my taste. So the problem is nowadays is once you do anything that's popular, you get hounded on Twitter for whatever reason. So if we go to Twitter and we look up Rae Carson, there's all these people. This was about 4 or 5 days ago. All these Reylos sending hate to Rae Carson who who are saying they'll leave Star Wars for good. I don't think they ever joined Star Wars. So all the people who wanted these two to hook up or have romance or whatever, and the novelization comes out and says, yeah, no, it wasn't romantic. It was a kiss of gratitude, which is Rey thanking the murderous psychopath Kylo Ren, who she previously just brought back from the dead, who has somehow changed. He's gone good because he was also killed, and then he talked to his hallucination of his father, which casted shadow and gravity and optics and all the other physical things that would make someone real. And on the screen we see this visage of Han Solo touch Kylo Ren's face, then Kylo Ren throws his lightsaber out into the water, because of course he does. Are now jumping on Twitter because they thought, hey, this was the one thing I looked forward to in my pseudo Star Wars movie, which has been getting horrible reviews, at least from actual critics. The Rotten Tomatoes score has been stuck at 86% for months. I don't know how that's even mathematically possible with almost 100,000 normal viewers scoring in. So people who like her are like, please stop hounding her. And again, anyone who likes Star Wars doesn't hound people. We don't hound people. We crack jokes at Rian Johnson. We crack jokes at J.J. Abrams. We sort of laugh at all their mistakes because it's fun. But we don't berate them. You know, we don't send them death threats or whatever. It's silly. People are attacking her ethnicity because I don't know why. Very strange. So this is what happens with Reylos, or people who are fanatic about this scene meaning what they thought it should mean. And I don't see what the fault is, because you could interpret this scene as romantic. Obviously, these two people are in a love-hate relationship of some sort, and that's fine. You can interpret it as such. But the author has her own opinion, which is, again, also fine. So this is what happens when you get crazy fans of the extreme. It's not all people who hated The Last Jedi. It's not all people who hated this or that movie. It's the people very specific for very specific reasons. And it's just, this is what Star Wars has become. It's always been a fan fest, whether you hate it or love it. There's something to be said about it. And in the end, it's stop nagging or annoying people on social media. That's just silly. Make fun, have a good time, try to get some levity in your communication. But it's just funny to see these people flip out over one scene in a horrible movie that they put so much weight on and ends up being not a big deal. Thanks for listening, guys. Have yourself a great day.